Hello vinyl community, Alex back again with another video. In case you are confused about the title of this video, let me give you a quick backstory. I know I've not been uploading much. I haven't really been getting much vinyl into the collection. And for those of you who don't have me on Facebook, Jenny, my beautiful wife, gave birth to our beautiful daughter Madison on the 4th of September. And where she was born early, we still needed stuff for her, because we were low on a lot of stuff, or just didn't have it in general. So I ended up selling a good 90% of my record collection, I'd say. And I'm gonna quickly go through this video to show you what I kept, to sort of start my collection again. The new goal is to only have records that I'm going to listen to from start to back without skipping anything. Like, so for example, if you was to blindfold me and told me to pick out any record in my collection. Sorry, Jenny is sitting right over there, as you probably heard.
Sorry, I'm really, really sorry. That out.
Anyway, I bet it is. Anyway.
Things fall out of me these days.
Yeah.
Especially babies.
Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying.
Sorry.
If you was to blindfold me and tell me to pick any collection out, any record out of my collection, I'd be able to just pick a record out, put it on the record player, and I could just listen to it, whatever. So, yeah, that's the new goal with this collection. I got rid of a lot of stuff. There's probably stuff I will want to get back. I had to be really, really strict with myself and just get rid of like most of my collection. But I kept stuff that's either meaningful, stuff I probably won't ever be able to get back again, stuff that has been gifted to me over the years, stuff that just means a lot. You guys will see anyway. I'm going to go through it one record at a time. I'm going to try not to ramble. I'll say a little bit about each record, why I kept it and stuff like that. But you guys will see that as we go along. I also try to limit myself to 3 records per artist. I think there's an exception with 1 or 2, but for the most part, I managed to keep 3 per artist. So we'll just get into this video really quick because I've got I still got a few things to get through, despite having got rid of most of my collection. So yeah, let's get into this video. First thing, the 8 Mile soundtrack. Jenny bought me this for the collection when I was missing it for my birthday, I think, one year. And nothing on here except for one track, Lose Yourself, is actually on Spotify, funny enough.
Sorry.
Apparently I'm married to a cat.
I'm sorry, I was yawning.
And
I don't know what that was, just ignore me.
yeah, because none of these songs are on Spotify, I had to keep this one. It's a really good soundtrack. I love the movie. It's one of my favourites. Yeah, and one of the few things by Eminem I did keep. It was really hard to part ways with a lot of my Eminem stuff, but you guys will see. It was not easy. 24 Karat Black. Ghetto, Miss Unfortunate's Wealth. Originals of this are crazy, expensive, and I believe this reissue is going out of print. This one I had to keep. Really good. One of Jenny's favourites in my collection, the 80s. It's just called 80s. There's a lot of really good stuff on here, and again, it's one of the first records Jenny ever bought me when we got together.
I think it was the first one.
Probably was the first, but I kept it. It's got that sentimental value, and we both love 80s music. We both love this compilation, so decided to keep it. Had to keep it, in fact. I think Jenny would have killed me if I didn't. So 1975. I picked 3 of their albums to keep. I picked their self-titled debut. I picked their second album, I Like It When You Sleep, for You're So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It. Yes, that is the full title of the album. I go back and forth between these two as to which one's my favourite, so that's why I get them both. And then Being Funny in a Foreign Language. This is their most recent release, and because of how much I've been enjoying listening to this, I had to keep it. They're one of my favourite bands, so of course I had to make sure I kept a few of their albums in the collection. Lexicon of Love by ABC, my favourite 80s album. AC/DC, I only kept 2 of their albums. One is my favourite by them, which is For Those About to Rock, We Salute You. And Rock or Bust, which I actually spent a long time looking for, hardly ever see this one. The others I see everywhere. Well, I say everywhere, they're the most common ones to find. Not necessarily cheap to buy them anymore, but I see them. Alchemist, Antiphon, one of my favourite jazz records, a top 10 for me when it comes to jazz, and this reissue is going out of print. Malibu by Anderson .Paak, a top 10 album of all time for me, so I have to keep that one as well. Arcade Fire, The Suburbs, my favourite Arcade Fire album. This one was tricky as well, but I kept 3 Arctic Monkeys albums. This is Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, their debut. Probably their best from cover to cover. Suck It and See, my personal favourite by them. And AM, an essential for any Arctic Monkeys listener. If you're into Arctic Monkeys, you probably own that album. A bit of Afrobeat here, some original Afrobeat. This is Atakora Manu, Disco High Life. It's Afrobeat, I was going to keep it. A Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders. This is the only Tribe Called Quest album I ended up keeping. This one was a gift from my buddy Tim over at Heine's Vinyl when we met up in Florida back in 2019. We met in the hotel lobby because he came to pick me up, and he put this album straight into my hands and said, "Yo, this is for you." Of course I'm going to keep it. A metal album here, one of the few I kept. This is Avenged Sevenfold Nightmare. This is one from my teenage years. Loved it. And this is an original press, which goes for crazy money now. The soundtrack to Baby Driver, one of my favourite movies, one of my favourite soundtracks. Love it. Have to keep it. And then the soundtrack to my favourite movie, Back to the Future. Erykah Badu, Baduizm. Love this album from start to finish. I think it's her best. I'd love to get her second album though. Bastille, Bad Blood, an album that I love that I didn't own for the longest time. Yeah, I don't know why. Abbey Road, an album that shouldn't need no introduction. This was a gift to me from Jeff Kempin, and this is on the Purple Capital label, and I've actually just noticed as well that the apple is missing off the back, which I never noticed before. And it's a classic album anyway, I had to keep that. There's 2 Bee Gees albums that I kept. I kept Odessa, my original mono pressing with the velvet cover, and then Bee Gees Greatest, because I couldn't decide which Bee Gees album I wanted to keep, so I thought by keeping their greatest hits, I've got all my favourite songs in one place. Sorry if I'm going a bit quick as well, by the way, guys. I'm trying to get through everything and not make this video too long. The Beginning of the End, Funky Nassau, another very rare jazz funk album where originals are just crazy money, and this one is going out of print as well, I believe. One of my favourite film scores ever, Blade Runner 2049. I do have an unboxing of this on my channel somewhere. Great stuff. Now we get to my favourite jazz album of all time. This is Moanin' by Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Favourite jazz album, of course, had to keep that one. Blood Orange, Negro Swan, a alternative R&B album I discovered on a whim one day, and yeah, in love with his music ever since. Good Thing by Leon Bridges, a great soul album that was gifted to me for a birthday one year, and so that's why I kept that one. That is just a great album. Busta Rhymes, When Disaster Strikes, my favourite Busta Rhymes album. Couldn't bring myself to part ways with that one. Donald Byrd, Blackbird. This is a Japanese pressing. You'll notice I kept all my Japanese pressings. I don't actually have that many, so it wasn't difficult to say, yeah, I'll keep them all. Again, I also didn't keep that many bootlegs, but the ones I did keep, a Chance the Rapper colouring book. I love Acid Rap by him. This is also a very good mixtape though. Another one of mine and my wife's favourites here is Tracy Chapman. Of course, I'm going to keep some stuff that the wife likes as well. Next we have Cigarettes After Sex. This was my first ever video on YouTube, and then I have the second album as well, which is also signed. I kept all my signed stuff. And in the back of the Cigarettes After Sex album, I found Heroes by David Bowie, my favourite David Bowie album. It's a good day. Black and Blue by Gary Clark Jr. Really big fan of his work. Kept that album, probably my favourite by him. Lynn Collins, Think About It. This is a mid-70s reissue, but of course I had to keep it. Such a good album. Classic. There. Another bootleg here. This is A Common Wonder, which is Stevie Wonder songs like remixed into hip hop beats with Common's acapellas thrown over the top. Really, really good mixtape there. Congo Natty, Jungle Revolution, and a signed copy as well when I met him personally. That was a very good day to get a signed copy of this. Yeah, I did keep all my signed stuff. The soundtrack to Cowboy Bebop, this one has gone out of print. This one goes for crazy money now, and it's my favourite animated show, even though this has stuff from the movie and the video game, which I don't think I ever played. But still one of my favourite, still my favourite anime. So, of course, I have to have the soundtrack. The Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, my favourite Cure album and another gift from my wife, so of course I kept it. I did part ways with Disintegration just because that one would be crap in my copy. I'll get it back, never mind. Samande, reissue, kept it. Cypress Hill, Black Sunday, one of my top 3 hip hop albums, I'd say. Love this one. Das Effects, Hold It Down, another one that was a gift, a birthday gift, and this is one of 1,000 copies, although I don't think this one is too expensive. I think it's still an affordable album. I kept 2 Miles Davis albums. This was a tough decision to make because I had a really good collection of his going. Kind of Blue, which this copy has a misprint on the label. It says All Blue instead of All Blues. Not particularly worth anything, this edition, but I thought that was pretty funky. And then Bitches Brew, which is my favourite Miles Davis album. Had to keep those two. Another rap album. I know I kept I've kept a few of my rap albums, not as many as I would have liked, but kept a few. De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising. This is the 2023 reissue, where they've changed some of the samples so they could reissue it. Doja Cat, Planet Her. Actually one of my favourite albums of 2021. I know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good album. I think he's a really talented performer. And I'm excited for a new album. Doobie Brothers, Minute by Minute. Not an album that's particularly expensive. One that I do see everywhere, but this is just a really nice condition copy. The Doors, self-titled, the only Doors album I kept. This is the only one I had in condition where I was happy to keep it. The others were beat to crap. And it is my favourite. Ooh, nearly dropped it. And it is my favourite Doors album.
Your favourite Doors album?
Doors album.
Oh. Just going to say.
D-Train, You're the One for Me. Another one that from start to finish is like definitely a favourite soul album for me. September 5th by Division. This one is a Record Store Day reissue. First consider this kind of for Mad Money. Kept it. It's now I've looked for so long, and then they reissued it for Record Store Day. Loved it. Another one that was a gift of my wife coming up. This is the Eagles Greatest Hits Volume 1 and Volume 2 box set. Love the Eagles, love this box set. There is probably some songs that double up, but I don't care. ELO's Out of the Blue, again another really common album, but just kept it because the vinyl on this one is really, really nice. Eminem, Curtain Call, The Hits. Couldn't decide what Eminem album to keep, much like Bee Gees, so I just kept the greatest hits. That, and I can probably still rap every single song on this album. Don't mean to brag, or anything. Right, whatever. Evanescence, Fallen, another one that was gifted to me from Tim. So, of course, had to keep that. And then we have A Fever Dream by Everything Everything. My favourite album by them. Really good stuff there. On to box number 2 here. We have Fat Freddy's Drop. A reggae album from New Zealand based reggae band Fat Freddy's Drop. This is based on a true story. It is what it is. Fleetwood Mac Rumours, a staple for any collection, so of course kept that. That and mine is in pretty good condition still. Aretha Franklin, Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. This is of course the album with Respect on it, so it is a staple. Fugees, The Score. This is the Vinyl Me Please edition with the split down the middle, black and orange vinyl. The only Vinyl Me Please edition I have. And another top 10 hip hop album for me. Fugees and Miyagi. I kept both of their albums that I own. So this is Light Bulbs and this is Transparent Things. Yeah, I'll go back and forth between the two as to which one I prefer. This one, the song on this called was featured on the first season of Breaking Bad. So pretty interesting fact there for you. Navaya Garcia, another favourite jazz album, one of my favourite new discoveries in the 2020s so far. Gangstar, Moment of Truth, another top 10 jazz album, hip hop album for me. Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On, and I Want You. I nearly kept my copy of What's Going On because that's my favourite album by him, but my copy was beat to crap, so I had to get rid of it. G-Bag, an ill-informed, respect your elders. This is signed by G-Bag, and this is another favourite discovery of mine from the 2020s so far. Really good stuff. UK based rap. Definitely check it out. If you like your rap music, that is. Robert Glasper, Black Radio 3, my favourite album from, I think it's 2022 this came out. Kept it for that reason. Glass Animals, How to Be a Human Being. I love this album, and this particular edition of this deluxe double vinyl edition is going for a pretty penny now, so had to keep it. I have a couple of soundtracks here. This is The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, and The Greatest Showman for all your greatest sing-along tunes. Yeah, I'm totally guilty of singing along to The Greatest Showman when I've had one too many drinks. Anyway.
Absolutely not.
The group Home, Living Proof, another favourite hip-hop album for me. Guru, Jazzmatazz, Final Me Please edition, another one that's getting up there in value. Halo 5 Guardians soundtrack, kept this because Halo is my favourite gaming franchise and all of the other soundtracks are at least triple figures when you want to buy them, so had to keep that. Johnny Hammond, Gears, because it was an affordable reissue and I love this album. Headhunters by Herbie Hancock, my second favourite jazz album, just behind Moanin' by Art Blakey. Love it. I kept this Japanese Hall & Oates best of compilation because that's got some good stuff on it, and it's a Japanese pressing, which is great. Isaac Hayes, Black Moses, the only Isaac Hayes album I wanted to keep, / the only one you ever really need. Jimi Hendrix, When You've Experienced. Love this album, really, really good. And fun fact, I actually live in the same hometown that Noel Redding from The Experience is from. So, here's a fun fact for you. Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. For some reason, this reissue is going up in value, so I kept it. Whitney Houston's self-titled album, Japanese press, another one that was a must-keep for me. Hummingbird, Diamond Nights, another one that's not particularly expensive, just you don't really see it, and this one is a promo copy. Imagination, In the Heat of the Night, much like some of these other albums, it's not rare, it's not expensive, it's just really hard to find this album in good condition. Another favourite film score, Interstellar, maybe my favourite film soundtrack score that Hans Zimmer's ever done. It's a toss-up between this, Blade Runner, and Inception. But again, one of my favourite films, Interstellar. Gotta love it. In Excess, Kick. One that I spent ages trying to hunt down because for some reason it's really rare in my area. Iron Butterflies in Negada de Villa. Didn't keep a lot of Psych, but this is one I just had to keep. This is a Spanish pressing. Bob James 2, Take Me to the Mardi Gras. the inventor of hip hop sampling, pretty much. Fantastic jazz fusion. I kept 2 of my Jay-Z albums. I kept my favourite 2. I kept Reasonable Doubt, my original pressing with the 10-inch single involved. This was a gift from my boss at my old work for Christmas one year. And I had kept the Blueprint. This is not original, this is a modern reissue, but again, it's my favourite Jay-Z album. Had to keep it. Actually, it's kind of a toss-up between those 2 as to which one's my favourite. That's why, the main reason I kept them both. Jefferson Airplane, Surrealistic Pillow. There it is, one of the jazz. There it is, one of the Psych albums I kept. One of the few. The very best of Elton John, because I couldn't decide which album of his to keep, and I thought the greatest hits would be the safest place to go. Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues. Didn't keep a lot of my blues, but this is one I just had to keep. He is a blues classic there. Quincy Jones, The Dude, another top 10 album for me. Absolutely adore this album. Oops. Here we go. This is one of those the few artists where I kept 4 albums because I couldn't decide which one to get rid of. And he is one of my favourite artists of all time. That's Kashif. So here's his self-titled debut, Send Me Your Love, his second album, Condition of the Heart, and Love Changes. All 4 of these are not expensive albums, just really rare because people that like soul R&B just don't part ways with them. I can't think why. Kendrick Lamar, my favourite modern rapper, I've got to say it. He is up there in some of my favourites. And again, I kept 3 of his albums. Section 80. It is a bootleg, one of the few I kept. To Pimp a Butterfly, my favourite from him. And then his latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Yep, Damn, I got rid of. I don't care too much for that album. And Good Kid, Mad City. I had it for the Dr. Dre track, really. It's a good album, but I'll probably get it back eventually. But I just like those 3 albums just a bit more. Kid Cudi, Man on the Moon, another one that was a gift from Tim over at High News Vinyl. And this one's got the note in it. Oh, I love it. Evelyn King, Get Loose, another favourite R&B album. Right, the Kooks, we have the best so far. And we have Let's Go Sunshine, signed copy on white vinyl. Yeah. Fela Kuti, we have Open and Close, the Record Store Day reissue, Zombie, the album that introduced me to him, and Fear Not for Man. I do like Fela Kuti. My introduction, I think most people's introduction to Afrobeat, honestly. Paul Lawrence, Haven't You Heard, another favourite R&B album of mine, and this is actually a gold stamp promo. Light of the World, this is Jazz Soul Power, their latest album, and it's also signed, not that you can really see because it's in gold marker, which doesn't really show up on the album cover. But I promise it's signed. Linkin Park Meteora, one of my favourite albums ever. Kept this one. It's really hard to get a copy of this on the cheap side. So had to get that Record Store Day reissue, and they reissued it for Record Store Day. Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia, I forgot the name of the album. But it is my most viewed video on the channel, is me unboxing this album. I think it's up to like 4,000 views, which is nuts to me. Main Source, Breaking Atoms, the album I bought when I won Tim's contest one year. Right. I realised I kept 5 Bob Marley albums. I don't know why. Actually, I do. Because I couldn't part with them. Catch a Fire. Yep, most of these are going to be the Abbey Road Half Speed remasters. Went through a phase of trying to get them all. So here's Rastaman Vibration. Burning, which is not the Abbey Road reissue, but hopefully one day. Kaya. And Exodus. Yeah, I'm a big Bob Marley fan, as you can tell. We have Maroon 5, Songs About Jane. My favourite Maroon 5 album, the only one of their albums I kept. And same with this Bruno Mars album, 24 Karat Magic. It is the only Bruno Mars album I kept. Okay, I kept 3 Maxwell albums. We have Urban Hang Suite, Embryo, probably my favourite of his, and Now. All 3 are on coloured vinyl, so I have a sort of theme going there. Curtis by Curtis Mayfield, the only Curtis Mayfield owned album you really need. The Meters, Look Pie Pie, the album that has the famous, I thought it had the famous Sissy Strut on this one. Apparently it doesn't. That's embarrassing. Older by George Michael, my favourite George Michael album, on white vinyl. Headlined by Midnight Star. Yep, another favourite R&B album. Who'd have thought it? Mobb Deep, the infamous Mobb Deep. Another top 10 hip hop album for me. And then another top 10 jazz album for me. This is Hank Mobley, Soul Station. Nas, God's Son. This is a promo copy of this album. Naughty by Nature, self-titled, and then NWA, Straight Outta Compton. Couple more bootlegs here. These are Frank Ocean albums, Nostalgia and Channel Orange, the only 2 that don't have official vinyl pressings. Here's a bit more Afro beat. This is Ogiatana Band. Don't ask me to pronounce the name of the album because I'm gonna butcher it, but this is an original Ghanaian pressing. And the OJ's, Backstabbers. Old Dirty Bastard, Return to the 36 Chambers. Alan Parsons Project, iRobot. And Peebles, Straight from the Heart, an original pressing because I bought it for £12.50 and at the time it was still going for way more. Still don't, I think.
Said vinyls on my game.
Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Mecca and the Soul Brothers. This is where we're going to see a bit more of my rap music that I decided to keep. Matt Fairmont, Internal Affairs. Lab Cabin California, The Far Side. Another gift from Tim. Prime 2. The conglomerate that is Royster 59 and DJ Premier. Pink Floyd, I kept 3 of theirs. I kept Dark Side of the Moon, I kept Wish You Were Here, and I kept Animals because they are the ones I go back and forth with as to which one is my favourite. Liquid Spirit, Gregory Porter, my favourite of his albums. Prince, Sign of the Times, this is the reissue on green coloured vinyl. Ike, Quebec, Blue and Sentimental. That was a blind buy for me, love it. The only Queen album I kept, this is The Game. I kept it because this one is really nice cover and vinyl, and you never see it with both. Raekwon, only built for Cuban Links. Rats. I kept 2 Rat albums. I kept Out of the Cellar and I kept Invasion of Your Privacy. I do like Rat, they are one of my favourite metal bands, and I'm not that massively into metal, as you guys know. Otis Redding, The Dock of the Bay. Redman, There Is a Dark Side. Rodriguez, Cold Fact. We lost him earlier this year, rest in peace. This is a South African pressing, no, not an original, I wish it was, but it is a later reissue, or an early reissue of this. Glad I own it though. Rolling Stones Rewind, had to keep at least one Stones album, and I decided to keep this compilation because it covers the years 1971 to 1984, which are my favourite years for the Rolling Stones. It's got some of my favourite songs on it by them. Kept it for that. Run the Jewels, RTJ4. I want their other 3 albums, but this is the only one I own currently. Schoolboy Q, Oxymoron. Another one that the wife bought me, and she actually went all over the place looking for this one. Shalimar, Friends. Again, not particularly expensive, but it's a top 10 R&B album. Had to keep it. Wayne Shorter, Odyssey of Iska, original pressing on Blue Note. Love that. Shrek soundtrack. I'm patiently waiting for them to reissue or issue Shrek 2 soundtrack on vinyl for the first time. Some great stuff on this one. Silk Sonic. An Evening with Silk Sonic, a combination album that Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak teamed up doing. I love both artists, so of course this was a massive album for me when it came out. Horace Silver Quintet, Song for My Father. Nina Simone, Wild is the Wind. Simply Red, Stars, my favourite Simply Red album. The others I see all the time, so I didn't mind parting ways with them. Sly and the Family Stone, Greatest Hits. So you can't go wrong with the Greatest Hits. Souls of Mischief, No Man's Land, their second album and original pressing. God, I love this one. It was added to, well, I added it to the collection before I sold everything, so I wasn't just going to buy it or do a swap with somebody to get it and then immediately sell it on. Star Wars The Force Awakens, this is the one that has the holographic Millennium Falcon that pops up when the record spins around. Definitely one of my favourite things to own. Really nice there. Steel Pulse, Handsworth Revolution, Reggae. Didn't keep much reggae, but that is one of the ones I kept. Another soundtrack here, this is the score to Superman the movie. Another favourite of mine. Definitely love that one. I kept 3 Talking Heads albums. I kept Fear of Music, my original Portuguese pressing with the embossed cover, Remaining Lights, and Speaking in Tongues, which is my personal favourite by them. Love all 3 of those albums. And then 2 Tame Impala albums, if you must know. I kept Currents and The Slow Rush. Monk's Dream, Thelonious Monk, another top 10 jazz album. And my gran bought me that one for Christmas one year, so that was nice of her. Lilo Thomas, Let Me Be Yours. It was hard to part ways with his other 2 albums, but I kept my favourite of his. So there's that one. We have a couple more reggae albums here. This is Toots and the Maytals, Funky Kingston. This is the Four Men with Beards pressing. Sounds really good. And then Legalize It by Peter Tosh. This is an original pressing. Love both of those. Vancouver Sleep Clinic Revival. This album fetches for a pretty penny now, and they are the only band I've ever seen in concert twice. And met them both times. Very sound guys. The Velvet Underground and Nico. Really nice reissue with the banana that peels off. Couldn't resist keeping that one. Harmony of Difference, Kamasi Washington, a nice EP of his. It's the only thing I own by him. He's a favourite modern jazz musician. Had to keep it. This next album I definitely annoyed the wife with how much I played one of the singles off of this. This is The Weeknd's After Hours. My favourite album of 2020. Wham! Make It Big. Because I love Wham and I love them even more since the documentary that came out on Netflix. The Who, Who's Next? Fantastic album from start to finish. The only one I kept by them. Would it surprise you I kept one Stevie Wonder album? I kept Uptight, Everything's Alright. I know. The others, they're all really common, so I can just get them again. It's fine. Yes, Fragile. Really good Yes album. My favourite by them. So I had to keep it. And finally, we're down to the last album here that I'm going to show you. That is The Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle. This is the Big Beat reissue from the 90s that has... this album obviously has Time of the Season on it, which is used in every romantic movie ever made. But yeah, you guys know this one pretty well. The Big Beat reissue, best sounding audiophile says the best sounding copy of that album you can get. Anyway, that is it. That is everything I kept for this new collection that I'm gonna have for my vinyl. So guys, with that said and done, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Thanks for bearing with me. I know this was a really long video, but we're finally at the end. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Follow me on my Instagram, which I will link down in the description below, and add me up on Discogs. I'm always interested in nosy through other people's collections. Anyway, with that said, I'll let you guys go. See you all again very soon. Bye!